This is our tutorial on finding slope from a graph. When we determine slope, we look for the rise over the run. The rise is the change in the y, or the up and the down. We call that delta y. The run is the change in the x, or the side-to-side change. We call that delta x. And we need to remember to count the spaces on the graph, not the lines. That just generally helps. And since we are going to be making a fraction, we always need to remember to simplify or reduce our fractions. And then the last thing to remember before we start is the directions. And we say, what would slope dude say? If the line is going up from the left to the right, that's a positive slope. Down from left to right, it's a negative slope. A flat horizontal line has a zero slope. And a straight up and down vertical line has an undefined slope. So we're going to look at a few examples here. Now on this first example, I'm going to notice that starting on the left up at the top here, and going down to the right there, that was starting up and it was going down, so that is a negative slope, which I'm going to write up here. That is a negative slope, so that I can remember that. And when I remember my slope letter is M, and that's the change in the y over the change in the x, and the y, that's the up and the down number, and the bottom part of the fraction is the side-to-side number. And since I already know it's negative, I'm going to put a little negative sign out in front of my slope fraction so that I don't forget that. And now I'm going to actually find 2 points, because I need 2 points so that I can count the spaces for that up and down change and the side-to-side change. The best place to find the points are in the corners, where the line goes through the corner of one of the grid boxes. And I can see a really good spot here at the 1 on the y-axis. It's going through that grid spot. And then if I come down also at the 3 on the x-axis, it's in a corner. If I go back up high on the left side, there's another spot there. I only need 2, so I can use any of those 2. I'm just going to do the first 2 that I used. So I'm going to connect them straight down, straight across, so that I can get my up and down and my sideways across numbers. So from this point to that point, it went straight down. I'm going to count 1 space. I'm going to put a 1 over here. And then across, it went 1, 2, 3 spaces across. So that's down 1 and across 3 to go from 1 point to the next. So the up and down change number goes on top. That was a 1. The across number goes on the bottom, how that changed to a 3. And if I try to simplify that fraction, 1 over 3 does not divide out evenly, so I'm just going to leave it. And it is negative, so my slope is negative 1 over 3. If I look at this next example, what I have is a nice flat horizontal line, so I'm going to write that up here. And a horizontal line has no rise. Remember, the rise number goes on the top. So from one point to the next, I can pick any 2 points I want. So I'm just going to pick those 2 points. It doesn't go up or down, so I'm going to put that the rise number is 0. It does come across 1, 2, 3, 4. And it really wouldn't matter what the number on the bottom is, because anytime you have a 0 on the top, 0 divided by 4 is 0. So my slope number is actually just 0. And that's one thing that we remember about a horizontal line. Horizontal lines have a 0 slope. My last 2 examples, here's another special case. That is a straight up and down vertical line. And once again, if I try to make a calculation, I'm just going to pick 2 spots on it. It doesn't matter where I pick them. I'm going to do it here. And remember, my up and down number goes on top. So from this line straight up to that point, from 1 point straight up to the next, that's a change of 1, 2, 3 up and down. But then it doesn't go across. It doesn't have an across change, so that's a 0 on the bottom. And once again, that's kind of a different fraction, except for instead of it equaling 0 like the other one did, you cannot divide by 0. So if you put that in your calculator, it gives you an error message. Because the thing to remember is that vertical lines have an undefined slope. They have an undefined slope because we cannot divide by 0. In our last example, if I'm looking at this one, starting on the left, down here at the -5, and going up on the right-hand side, since it went up, I'm going to write that this is a positive slope since it went up. And now I'm going to find my 2 points. So I have a nice one right here at the -4 on the y, and if I go up just below the 1 on the x, I've got a nice point. If I go up some more, then I have another one right here. And normally I like to use the ones that are closer together because that reduces the amount of simplifying on the fraction that I have to do. But sometimes we don't see that, so I'm going to use the two that are farthest apart this time. So I'm going to connect. I'm going to go from the one on the -4. I'm going to go straight all the way up until I'm even with it, and then across that one. And now I'm going to count the spaces. So from the -4 up, that went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. And then across it went 1, 2. Remember that my slope fraction is the up and the down number on top of the across number. So my up and down number was a 6, my across number was a 2, and that does divide out. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so my slope is a 3. Now what would have happened if instead of picking the two farthest apart, if I had picked two that were closer together? So I'm going to pick these top two that are closer together, and I'm going to end up with the same answer. I'm just going to connect. So the up and the down change, it goes up 1, 2, 3, and it goes across 1, and the up and the down number goes on top, the across number goes on bottom, but 3 divided by 1 is still just a 3, so that's my simplified slope fraction either way.